to Keith Brace's Rugby Show on Sports Radio Birmingham at srb.com and on Spreaker at Spreaker.com and also on the Book of Face, Facebook at Sports Radio Birmingham. Well, welcome, Chris, to my last rugby show of the season. And you're welcome to it, my little Irish leprechaun of a friend. To be sure. Hootsman. Sorry, slipped into a bit of the old Scots vernacular there. Should have been Bigorra, Shinty, Mrs. Brown's boys. Do you laugh? Go on. Brilliant. I love that. It's so good. Laugh, chuckle. See what I did there, mate. Well, after that breathless introduction, cue for heavy breathing, puffing and panting, phew, puff, puff. What are we talking about today, Chris, in the week of rugby? Mm-hmm. Do you know?
I don't.
I'm going to tell you then.
Go on then.
Okay, I will. Firstly, the Aviva Premiership semi. I've got a semi, you know.
Well, there's nothing I can say about that, is there?
Well, Mrs. as they say. No, semi, yes, detached. It was very painful. So painful.
Yeah.
The circumcision was awful, I tell you.
See, this show has started on a spiral downwards already.
Absolutely, Chris, absolutely. Who were Mrs., as that great old queen of a comic, Frances Howard, might have said.
Oh.
Semi-finals in the Aviva Premiership 2 Saturdays ago between the Exeter Chiefs and my Aviva Premiership team, based at the Coventry Ricoh Arena, as we know, the Wasps. Now, you like the Wasps, don't you, Chris?
I do.
You like a bit of wasp, a bit of stinging.
Oh, yeah.
Stings a bit, doesn't it, on the way in?
I've just actually heard some news about the Wasps.
Go on, tell me that then.
They're hoping to have a new training ground next season.
Whereabouts is that then?
The Higgs Centre.
The Higgs Centre?
Apparently they're going to share it with
Coventry City Football Club. Oh, excellent. Anyway, the Wasps. Bzz. Honeybee. Sorry that I've got the wrong winged invertebrate there, Chris. Bees, not wasps. Slipped into Arthur Askey mode there, I'm afraid. Sorry, a bit of Frances Howard creeping in there. Mrs. Arthur Askey was a Liverpool-based comic popular in the 1960s and 70s. Do you remember him, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you Matt doesn't remember him.
Nah.
Arthur Askey used to wear glasses. You remember Arthur Askey?
Nah.
No, not quite.
Not quite. He's a bit too young, is our Matt, isn't he? He's here for the Speedway tab and he'll be speaking to you later. But I introduced myself to him tonight and lovely show they do about Speedway. So after me on the rugby, keep listening for GA and Matt about Brummie Speedway and all that. So, Arthur Askey, back to him. He had a little song called The Honeybee. And he grew up in Vaudeville and the music hall. Yeah. He had round glasses, little thin bloke.
Yeah.
And he used to Iron Annual. That was his catchphrase. Iron Annual. That was his catchphrase. Anyway, back to the musical. Before, as I say, Arthur Askey was a Liverpool comedian, comic from the 50s, 60s and 70s on TV. And before transferring his own eclectic brand of scouse humour to the Arthur Askey show on Saturday nights on BBC One, after Dixon of Dock Green. Do you remember that? Dixon of Dock Green?
Vaguely. Black and white.
Dixon of Dock Green. Black and white, starring Jack Warner as PC George Dixon. Named after my old school, Chris. Do you know that? My old school, George Dixon Grammar School for Boys.
It was named after him?
No, George Dixon.
Oh, right.
The PC George Dixon in Dixon of Dock Green was named after my old school, George Dixon Grammar, in City Road in Edgbaston. Did you know that? You obviously didn't.
Yeah.
As I say, our most famous former pupil, an old boy, wasn't quite an old boy, he's been passed away for about 30 or 40 years, Mrs., his old boy again, Frances Howard, Sir Michael Balkan. Did you know I went to school with a Sir? Well, I didn't quite. Sir Michael Balkan. Have you heard of Sir Michael Balkan?
No, I didn't.
Well, anyway, he was a Jewish tailor's son from Summer Lane, like me, in Aston. There you go. You learn something every day, don't you, Chris?
Just a fun.
Sir Michael Balkan. They call me the boffin, you know.
Yeah.
It's among other the more polite things they call me.
You've been called a few things.
Yeah, I have really. Anyway, Michael Balkan was a Jewish tailor's son from Summer Lane in Aston, like me dad, Les Bracey, and my granddad, Wilfred Bracey. Sir Mike Balkan worked in the 1920s for MGM. And spectacularly fell out with Louis B. Mayer, the tyrant and dictator who ran MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, as you probably will well remember, with the lion roaring his head off at the start of the MGM films.
Remember it well.
Anyway, Mike Balkan worked for Louis B. Mayer in Hollywood, in in the 1920s. But as Britain's possibly greatest filmmaker, he set up his own British film company, Gainsborough Pictures, and later formed the Ealing Studios. Now, is that bringing any light to the proceedings?
Yeah.
The Ealing Studios?
Yes.
Who made the Ealing comedies, like Kind Hearts and Coronets. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Passport to Pimlico.
With Mind a Bloke in it? Was he in it?
George Cole. Correct. I was just about to come on to that. You spoiled my line there,
Thank
mate.
you. Yeah,
Well done. Like that. Like Kind Hearts and Coronets, the Lavender Hill Mob, Passport to Pimlico, The Man in the White Suit. Do you remember that one?
Don't remember that one.
Sir
no.
Alec Guinness played the Man in the White Suit.
Yeah.
I remember Alec Guinness, Sir Alec?
Yes.
Star Wars fame and all that. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Can I say that, Chris?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Just it.
Just saying, yeah. Well, there you go. Sailing a bit close to the wind tonight, Chris. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like saying that. It's nice, isn't it? The Lady Killers. Do you remember that one?
Don't remember that one.
Margaret Rutherford. Remember her?
I remember Margaret Rutherford.
Margaret Rutherford.
Yeah.
She played...
She was always in the Centurions
That's
trilogies and stuff.
Yeah, and she
yes.
was Agatha Christie's favourite First Lady, if you remember. As... Go on, tell me who.
I don't know.
Agatha Christie's First Lady Detective, Miss
Marple.
Marple. Miss Marple. Now this is becoming a right bloody cinematic teacher's lesson.
We are still talking about rugby, aren't we?
Well, we're going back to it eventually.
Right,
We
okay.
will get there eventually, Chris. But I'm just
gone
sort
for
of
a time
going
warp.
a few flights of fancy and few of my dreams and all that. Anyway, so the other one was Whiskey Galore, favourite film of mine. I like a bit of whiskey. Whiskey Galore, I love it. Not Pussy Galore. No, it wasn't Pussy Galore.
The name rings a bell.
Whiskey Galore was about a shipment of Scottish whiskey wrecked on the Isles of Orkney, whisked away. Whisked, you see what I did there? Whiskey whisked.
Was it a true story?
Yeah.
I thought so.
It was shipwrecked on the Isle of Orkney, and the local populace salted it away and whisked it away and drank it forevermore. And it was about how they did that, and it was a great Ealing comedy. And these films, as I say, usually starred Sir Alec Guinness, Alistair Sim. Do you remember him?
Yes.
Alistair Sim,
Alistair
great old
Sim,
British
yeah,
actor.
yeah.
Dennis Price, who played the lead in Kind Hearts and Coronets. And the great George Cole, Mr. Minder, as you remember, Arthur Daly.
Spiv.
Always Spiv. He was always the Spiv in the Centurions films as well.
Yes.
Well, I can't remember his name in the Centurions films. What was it? The Artful Dodger? No, it wasn't the Artful Dodger.
No.
Jack...
Yeah, it was
Flash Harry. That's
Flash
it.
Harry.
Flash Harry. You remember that?
You've got a memory,
Flash
haven't
Harry.
you?
I have got a good memory, yeah. And others like Will Hay, Mr. Porter.
Will Hay, yeah.
Will Hay, do you remember him?
Yeah.
Well,
And he was always with the big fat bloke
big
as
fat
well.
fella, yeah. Well, Mr. Porter, that was an Ealing comedy, you see.
Yep.
And these are great old British films.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to George Dixon. In Dixon of Dock Green on a Saturday night. In growing up as a kid in the 60s, I used to watch that. Black and white TV, as you say, Chris. It was played by George Dixon, PC George Dixon, named after my old school. It was played by Jack Warner in the first police procedural, which emerged out of a 1949 Ealing film, The Blue Lamp. Right? You following me? You
Yes.
keeping up? Where a young East End beat Bobby, PC George Dixon, of fame, black and white TV fame, is shot dead by a young hoodlum, played by rank starlet, Belgian-born queen of an actor, Mrs. Frankie Howard. Frankie goes to Hollywood now, Frankie Howard goes to Hollywood, not Dirk Bogarde. Remember Dirk Bogarde?
Yes.
Dirty Dirk.
Yeah,
He was a bit of a dirty
yeah.
Dirk. He had a dirty Dirk as well. He was a gay man. But we're not
Was
homophobic
it?
here.
I didn't realise.
We're very diverse, aren't we? Yeah, he was gay, yeah.
I didn't know.
Dirk Bogarde was gay, as most film actors were in those days.
Yeah.
Goes with the territory. Well, say most, been a bit prejudicial
I
there.
think they'll look
Possibly.
the birth, didn't they?
Do you remember Bert? You remember Bert Dogard? Sorry, Dirk Bogarde.
I do, yeah. I remember, yeah.
Lovely
It was
actor.
same era, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of nice films. Accident, Crash.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Detective Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, yeah.
Not a Tale of Two Titties. A Sale of Two. A
Sale
Sale of Two Titties.
Yeah.
The Tale of Two Cities, which is a Dickens film about the French Revolution.
Got you.
Got me. Yeah, I wish somebody would have got me.
Yeah. We are still talking about rugby, aren't we?
No. We're going on to my flights of fancy about film still.
Okay, sorry.
But we will get back to rugby eventually. Anyway, back to the rugby. Great line, Chris. You brought me back on track there, mate. Back to the rugby. After that little cinematic... what was it? What's that song? I can't read my own writing. Oh, cinematic allusion to my hero from Aston Summer Lane, Michael Balkan. An old Dixonian like me, an old dick like me, yep. Possibly Gritton's... Gritton? Got me bloody ventriloquist dummy, haven't I? Gritton's greatest
Britain's biggest dick.
No, Britain's greatest ever filmmaker, along with Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock, we're going there again. We're getting a bit close to the... Anyway, Alfred Hitchcock, who Balkan gave a film break to, funding one of his first films, The 39 Steps. Remember The 39 Steps?
Yeah.
Starring Robert Donat, and subsequently remade many times with Kenneth Moore as Richard Hannay, Robert Powell, and many other fine British actors. The 39 Steps, great film.
Robert Powell was in the 39
Robert
Steps.
Powell made a version. There you go. Matt's nodding his head behind me.
Did he?
78.
There you go. Matt knows his films as well. Have you been listening to all this crap I've been saying? And is it all true? Is it all right? Do you know?
See, somebody's listening.
Somebody's listening. Yeah, I'm glad somebody's listening. Matt's obviously listening.
I didn't know
Anyway.
that. Jesus.
Jesus bitches.
Robert Powell.
Robert Powell.
Oh, sorry.
Married to Babs, one of the Pan's people. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
The big tall blonde one?
Really?
The big statuesque
With
tall
the
big Taylor Two Cities again, isn't it? Taylor Two Titties.
I didn't know that.
We're getting a bit rude tonight, aren't we, Chris? Back to the rugby anyway, again. The forerunner of James Bond, possibly Richard Hannay, do you think?
Could be.
You know, British spy, you know, saving the country from death and destruction. Well, so, you know, he's before his time, Hitchcock, wasn't he, you know?
Yeah.
Richard Hannay, great man, daring deeds of daring do up in Scotland, down in England, in the theatre, when he's shot, the man who's reciting the 39 Steps. Remember that film? Brilliant film. Anyway, so James Bond, you know, possibly the greatest ever film franchise, do you think? You'd think this was a film show about cinema rather than rugby, wouldn't you?
We've learnt so much.
We have learnt so much. I was saying, a bit of a boffin me. In fact, I was on Radio WM, our sister station and rival station, Sports Radio Birmingham, tonight and this morning, because I'm a regular listener to Radio WM, and I like to ring them up and give them a piece of my mind, which I regularly do. And they don't listen. I say, here we are at Sports Radio Birmingham, and I also listen to Radio WM, and I was waxing lyrical about the possibility of a Black Brummy James Bond in David Harewood, possibly, of Homeland and the Night Manager fame. Do you think that would be a great show?
Yeah.
David Harewood from Ward End and Washwood Heath.
Big Birmingham City fan, I believe.
Big Blue Nose, yes. We've mentioned this before, Chris, but I think he'd make a great Black Bond, frankly.
I think he would, yeah.
Or what about Adrian Lester? Another Brummy actor from Hustle. Hustle? Remember Hustle?
Tallish,
and also
tallish guy.
Yeah, tallish guy, short. Yeah. Very action man, very fit. He was in the Undercover recently on BBC One.
That was a fantastic.
That's Adrian Lester.
That was a great show.
That black actor who played the lead role in that show, which I watched with the missus, and it was great. Yeah. It was a good show. He'd make a good Black Bond as well, wouldn't he?
He would, yeah.
Anyway, that's enough for that. Anyway. The scarce git who presents Radio WM in the morning, Danny Kelly, was taking calls about a female James Bond, Jane Bond. My favourite for that role would be Katie Price, because she certainly subvert the James Bond whole role, don't you think? Don't you think, Katie Price? Don't you think she'd make a great Jane Bond?
Jane Bond, yeah, she could.
She would, couldn't she? Yeah. Or this is my real favourite for Jane Bond, mature woman, bit of a MILF, you know, Helen Mirren.
Ooh, yeah.
What a great shout that is for us older men.
I'll tell you what, wasn't she a looker in her day?
Well, she still is a looker for a 70. She's 70. Can you believe she's 70? She gives us old blokes hope, doesn't she? If I looked like that when I'm 70, you won't see me for dust, mate. Anyway, so Helen Mirren as our Jane Bond. Mm. Now, really, we are going to return to the rugby now.
Oh, good.
So after our film show, we've only gone 10 minutes though. You know, we're still back on the rugby. Yeah, so that macho image of James Bond, which serves well for our rugby chat. But Helen Mirren would go to make a great sexy older British woman in that Jane Bond role. Mature, not too old, but and she must bring back Judi Bench. Judi Dench as M, because I think they'd be great actors together, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Don't you agree?
She plays that part quite well, I think.
She does. Judi Bench.
Yeah, Judi Bench.
She was great in The Hollow Crown as well. Did you watch that?
I like her. I like
Bit of Shakespeare.
She's got a brother and she Press
Bench. Press. Boom, boom.
And another
tumbleweed are flowing in. Go on.
Garden.
Who? Garden Bench. Judi Bench's brother and sister. Garden and Press. Anyway, the Aviva Premiership playoffs 2 Saturdays ago were fought out between the Exeter Chiefs and Wasps of Sandy Park, which was a close-fought game with the Chiefs just winning with a last-minute penalty try as their dominant scrum pummeled the weaker Wasps pack into the Sandy Park mud. We are back to rugby now, I'm afraid,
Good.
Chris.
I am glad.
Yeah, back to... You're not, are you? I thought that was quite
No,
good.
actually, I'm not.
You know a bit about film. You don't know anything about rugby, but
True.
I'm educating you here, mate.
It's more interesting.
What, the film?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I do a bloody show on your station, mate. Christ. That's the thanks you get for
I'm learning.
3 or 4 years hard labour at the coalface in bloody Alton in your garage.
I'm learning.
Doing the Sports Radio Birmingham Rugby Show. Anyway, back to the rugby. The Chiefs had taken the lead with the Aviva Premiership's top point scorer and golden boot, Chiefs fly-off Gareth Steenson, an Ulsterman and very much a journeyman player, and understudy to the now Leicester Tigers director of rugby David Humphreys at Ulster, the Irish province 10 years ago, and he's now made his mark and realised his full potential as a player. As now, as I say, he's the Aviva Premiership's golden boot, and one of the most compelling reasons that Exeter have done so well this season, with a second in the regular league standings, a European Cup quarter-final, where ironically they lost to the Wasps, the Coventry Wasps, and finally to cap it all, they got to their first Aviva Premiership playoff final as the Chiefs scalped of the Wasps and played in their first Aviva Premiership playoff final at Twickenham just 6 years after being promoted from the second tier of English rugby, the Green King IPA Championship, where my club Moseley have just been relegated to the third tier of English rugby, National League 1, where there is no RFU funding, which is a sad state of affairs if you ask me, Chris. So with their new stand and other higher costs, Mose will lose £500,000 worth of revenue from the RFU. And however, I'm sure that Mose, I know it's a bit of
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It is a lot of money. £500,000 from £500,000 from the RFU to absolutely bugger all, mate.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm thinking of the money they've spent on that stand.
Well, on the stand. Well, to be fair, Birmingham City Council held that money in trust for them.
Right.
I think it was they got about £5 million in the bank account, which probably paid for that stand, because obviously Moseley rent off Birmingham Council, Bilsley Common is owned by the council, so perhaps that's money that was saved, when they sold the Readings to Bryant Builders and moved lock, stock and barrel to Bilsley. So there'll be the costs of running the new stand and the new higher catering and hospitality. But I gather they're doing quite well on the marketing front, and
good.
they're having events and dinners, and I gather Digby Jones talked at a very high profile Moseley Rugby Club event a few months ago, as did David Campese, the Australian Maverick winger you might know, Chris. He spoke at a property event at Bilsley Common fairly recently as well. So Moseley are making a few quid from their new stand already. So come on, Mose, let's go from strength to strength. And I'm sure that Moseley would say that for the last couple of seasons they haven't quite been good enough. Last season, it's last season now because they stopped playing about 6 weeks ago, Moseley. They only won 4 games out of 22, which isn't good enough. And as I say, in the third tier, they'll probably be more competitive under returning coach Irishman Kevin Maggs, the former centre partner of Brian O'Driscoll, Bod, or God, as he's known by Irish fans, and they still know him as that, although he's retired now. Mose will find their own level. But who's gone up from the Championship, the Green King IPO Championship, to the Aviva Premiership? A game last Wednesday was the second tier playoff of the Green King IPO Championship. Was fought out between Rugby's sleeping West Country Giants. That's not Pat Roach. He's not Rugby's sleeping West Country Giants. He's no, he died about 5 years ago. But he was from Birmingham anyway. He wasn't from the West Country. I'm trying to think of the Cern Abbas Giants with the Willie.
Pardon?
Have you seen them? You look up the Cern Abbas Giants. It's a big chalk man with a great big dick. Oh, sorry, Willie.
Willie, got ya.
But anyway, that's the sleeping West Country Giant. Well, possibly not, but we couldn't comment. Anyway, the real sleeping West Country Giant in rugby terms are Bristol Rugby Club, really, Chris. And they're on top. They were on top. They finished top of the IPA Green King Championship, and they've provided England with many players for many years like England's hooker in the 2007 World Cup final, whose name escapes me. I can't remember his name. He's obviously that good. I can't remember his name, but it will come to me eventually. And Richard Hill, the former Bath and Bristol director of rugby and player. That's Richard Hill. And when they were last in the Viva Premiership 6 years ago, as I say, their place was taken by Exeter. Their current director of rugby is England and British Lions ledge Andy Robinson, who was forwards coach to the 2003 England World Cup winning team. Good luck to Bristol. They are a huge West Country rugby club and brand, and they deserve another shot at the Premiership in their rugby. I mean, they won't be as rich as Wasps. Wasps are the richest club in the land now, Chris. They had a rights issue in the city about a year ago, and they raised about 17 million quid, which enabled them to buy the Ricoh Arena, obviously to form this new training ground. Where
they've got all this money. They haven't had such a fun. It hasn't been a brilliant.
Well, they've had a brilliant season.
Have they?
They have, yeah. They got to the Aviva Premiership semi-finals, where they lost to Exeter. I was going on to that, Chris. You've spoiled you've done a spoiler again, mate.
You're pushing it on.
Wasps have had a good season. They got to the European Cup semi-finals.
But they haven't won anything.
They haven't won anything. No. I suppose if you've been in football parlance, they've had a good season, but they failed to live up to their potential, possibly.
I mean, with all the money they've got, it's a bit.
Yeah, but it's early days. They've just signed Curtly Beale, the Aussie marquee player.
Means nothing to me. I don't know who he is.
Kurt. Good old Curtly.
Kurt,
your mate Kurt. Curtly Beale. No. Ian Beale's brother. No, I digress. He's not Ian Beale's brother at all. Right. Curtly Beale is a star player. They're paying him 750 grand a year,
last week,
Chris, on a 2-year contract.
And that's a lot of money for a rugby player.
Absolutely. The he's not former, he's still hoping to be part of England's plans going forward. Manu Tuilagi, another great English name from Leicester there, isn't it? He's an Islander. He was on 425 grand a year. And he was the Aviva Premiership's highest paid player up until Curtis, whatever you want to call him, Curtly Beale, signed for Wasps about 3 weeks ago, on a contract, 750 grand a year for 2 years. So that's, by my reckoning, that's 1.5 million contract. Is that right?
Yeah.
Over 2 years.
And 2 weeks of Rooney's wages?
Well, that puts it in context, really, doesn't it? Because Rooney's on bloody 350 grand a year. A week? No, a year.
A week, yeah.
Absolutely. So, well,
disgusting.
They put their lives on the line. Rugby players can die on the pitch. I can't see Rooney putting his blooming head where it hurts, can you?
That's true.
Rugby players have died on the pitch, but that's the difference. Yeah. It's the way of the world, isn't it, Chris?
And football players have, to be fair. Died on the pitch.
Yeah, true. I saw one. Yeah, Tony Alden struck by lightning years ago in playing for Highgate United when my uncle was playing.
Quite a few had heart attacks.
Yeah, to be fair, you're right. Sorry, Chris. Fabrice Muamba.
Not
absolutely, and there was a recent player in Romania, Cameroon, passed away and collapsed and died on the pitch. So yes, sorry about that, Chris. I wasn't thinking quite straight there, mate.
No, you weren't. No.
I'm not.
Gen up next time.
Gen up? Gen up? I think I've done enough genning up. There's more information in one of these in a bloody Wikipedia. Encyclopedia Britannica. I've hit 'em. There's more information about rugby in this, and films, and George Dixon, and
everything. Life is in that.
Life is in this book. This is the book of life, Chris.
You could sell that for threatens.
Absolutely. I didn't tell you about my poetry, did I?
No.
No, better
Carry
not.
on.
From the look on your face, I don't think I better tell you about my poetry. Back to the rugby. While I'm talking about England, I must comment on England's game too far against Wales, played for the Old Mutual Wealth Cup. Isn't that a great trophy to go down in history with the world? The Jules Rimet Trophy, the Davis Cup, the Ryder Cup. The Old Mutual Wealth Cup at Twickenham. Just a bloody marketing exercise, as per usual. Thanks to the RFU for that. Last Sunday, where of revamped England under new Aussie coach Eddie Jones defeated tired Wales 15, 27-13 to win the Old Mutual Wealth Cup. Now, doesn't that trip off the tongue?
It does, doesn't it?
The Old Mutual Wealth Cup. I'll get my teeth back in. I think I've been drinking, actually, because I'm not sure.
Somebody else's teeth.
I've been smoking the wacky backy, I think, because I'm on one tonight. Anyway, it was a day to forget for England fly-half and playmaker George Ford. Back to the rugby. Whose dad, the rugby league ledge, Mike Ford, has just been sacked as the Bath director of rugby. The fruit of his loins, Georgie boy Ford, had an awful game, missing 7 out of 8 kicks at goal and kicking instead of passing and retaining possession when Wales were tiring in the last quarter, 20 minutes. A day to forget for George Ford, who could be seen mouthing and mumbling the word crap as he missed his final kick at goal. And then he was hauled off by Eddie Jones. Have you been hauled off by Eddie Jones?
Oh, no.
He was hauled off by Eddie Jones with 10 minutes to go. That sounds nasty, that does. Back to Frankie Howard again, I think, who misses. I've often been hauled off by Eddie Jones, by my missus. No, I wasn't really. No, but so if he'd kicked all his goals, Georgie Ford, not Georgie Dawson, as his rival and England teammate and Saracens' favourite Owen Farrell, son of Andy Farrell. There's something going on here, isn't there? Don't you think, England fly-halves? They're all sons of bloody rugby league players, isn't they? Andy Farrell, Mike Ford.
Bit of incest going on somewhere.
Bit of incest, I think, and something going on. There should be an inquest about a bit of incest. Inquest into why England fly-halves are all rugby league players instead of like Richard Sharp from the 60s, flowing blonde locks, public school educated. These guys ain't been to public school.
Nah.
But that's a good thing in my opinion, Chris.
Oh,
Rugby's too far too public school based. I went to a Birmingham grammar school, produced great rugby players. Bristol Rugby, from their grammar schools, produced great rugby players. A lot, as I've said the other week, Chris, public schools sustain rugby in this country, and not everyone can send their kids to public schools. So if you want to play rugby, get down your local rugby club, get involved in the mini and juniors, and get down there and do it and get out on the rugby pitch. Don't wait until your mum and dad can afford to send you to public school, because it won't happen. Anyway, back to the rugby again. Oh yes, Andy Farrell is another rugby league legend, as I say, Wigan and Warriors and Great Britain, who is the new Ireland defence coach after an ultimately failed spell and disastrous World Cup as Stuart Lancaster as number 2. Number 2, can I say that, Chris?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's okay, yeah.
Number 2? I just said crap, so, you know,
right.
number 2s and crap go together, really, don't they?
Yeah, okay.
Still not, as I say, Lancaster, still not, Stuart Lancaster, the England coach during the World Cup, has still not secured a top coaching role in the Aviva Premiership. Perhaps he's hoping the RFU will offer him a role with Rob Andrew being replaced by ex-England scrum half Nigel Melville. There, Nigels and Ruperts again. Public school bias. Football isn't like that, is it?
No.
It's a meritocracy, football.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought it was a sport.
Didn't you know? Do you know what the word meritocracy means?
No.
It means they rise to the top by dint of their own efforts, intelligence, instead of getting there by favours made, knowing it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Basically, it's what
without
you know.
backhanders and bendovers.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Bendovers, back to Frankie Howard again. Yeah. You know, a meritocracy, Chris, is where you rise to the top by your own efforts rather than somebody else's efforts.
Right, okay.
Or being the son of, or having money, or... So I was brought up in a meritocracy.
That down later for me, thank you.
I've swallowed a dictionary, because meritocracy. Anyway,
a meritocracy to you all.
A meritocracy, yeah, it's very good. I like that one. Anyway, I better crack on.
Yeah, you've only got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh, okay. So you know, George Ford had an awful day against Wales, and Owen Farrell would surely have done and kicked all those easy kicks. England would have scored over 50 points against the Welsh, beating Wales quite handsomely. Perhaps the Wales team is ageing too much, and Warren Gatland might to do some severe surgery during the summer against New Zealand. Players like Alan Wynne-Jones, Dan Lydiate, and the Dan Dare lookalike Jamie Roberts might be due for the chop. I don't know. No, they're not going to be circumcised. They might be due for the...
chop and not a snip.
Not the snip, yes. Definitely a chop. A pork chop, I think. Anyway. So going back to Nigel Melville, who I mentioned earlier on, he's just been headhunted from USA Rugby. He's the chairman of the director of USA Rugby, to the top playing administrative job at the Rugby Football Union at Twickenham, replacing Rob Andrew. Back to the Aviva Premiership playoffs a couple of Saturdays ago, with favourites and holders Saracens facing Leicester Tigers. in their artificial pitch at Allianz Park. As I say, Leicester, the ultimate professionals, moaned and moaned about the plastic pitch at Allianz Park and got their short shrift and were beaten 44-17 by Saracens, who the week previously had won their first European Cup. As it was, Sarries brushed aside the Tigers' challenge, and I'd call it sour grapes if you want, but the Tigers were being ultra-professional as they moaned and moaned about the Allianz Park Saracens pitch. Anyway, Saracens then played Exeter Chiefs in the Aviva Premiership final last Saturday. How? Yes. How?
Oh.
Fred Dinage.
Brilliant.
Loved it.
Yeah.
We're of an age, me and you, Chris.
Yeah,
we
no,
remember
yeah,
how.
yeah.
Anyway, so Sarries against the Chiefs. And who came out on top? Those Saracens defeated the Chiefs, and Exeter, in their great journey from the Championship to their first ever Aviva Premiership final playoff, were defeated, sadly. And so how long we got to go, Chris? Is that about it?
We're over it.
We're over it already?
Yeah,
okay.
because
Well, that's all from me. Keith Brace is in the clubhouse. As I say, that's my last show of the season, Chris. Ended on it was a great season. Great season. I loved it. I love following Wasps in the Aviva Prem. You know, it was great. You know, from seeing Moseley defeated all the time, 4 wins in 22 games. People don't like losers.
No.
And I'm not saying Moseley are a great rugby club, but they're losers. People don't go to watch losers.
That's right, yeah, no,
It's true, But I watch winners.
Yeah.
And I'm a winner myself. And I went to watch Wasps, and it was a great Rico experience. At the Rico Arena, and I loved it. And I'll be going back next season. I'm not going to buy a season ticket, which, by the way,
Just
only
quickly, how much is it for a season?
£205. That's not bad, is it? For a season of rugby, the great top class rugby that they produce at Wasps, running rugby. They've got Curtly Beale, the highest paid player in the league. Marquis signing other players. Danny Cipriani, he's coming back to Wasps. England fly half, great player. Very exciting rugby to be bowled at Wasps. So, it's been a good season for the Wasps. Good season for Saracens, who won the European Cup for the first time and their third Aviva Premiership in a row. So it's good night from In the Clubhouse for the last time this season with Eddie's England's tour to Australia. That's what's happening. I'll be back. It's in September. My next show will be on Monday, September the 5th at 7 p.m. Before the Tilton Talk show. So that's it. Monday, 7 p.m. September the 5th for Keith Brace's In the Clubhouse. So it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Chris?
Good night.
Good night, John Boy. Good night.
Sunday.